Not all verbs are created equal. Some do the action, some receive it, and others help it shine. Welcome back to LEXI-AURA, your convenient place for learning English and math. In the recent video, we introduced you to the types of verbs. In this episode, let's dive a bit deeper. Now, let's look at the various types. The first one is the main or lexical verbs. Now, every complete sentence in English has at least one main verb. Right, what are these verbs? These carry the main meaning in a sentence. Examples: she reads every day. They built a house. These main verbs are reads and built. Let's look at the second type. We have the helping or auxiliary verbs. These are used with the main verbs to show tense, voice, or mood. Don't worry, we will talk more about these terms later. Common helping verbs include am, that's am, is, are, was, were, and then we have has, had, does, did, will, shall, can, could, may, might, must, and then should and would. Right, when you check here, right, we have another type called the modal verbs. So you see that is a bit or quite a subset here, right? And they include the can, shall, could, may, might, must, should, and would, right? And then we have the to be, which are the am, is, are, was, were, right? And then we have the other side also called also include the have, has, had, and do, does, right? So helping verbs cover a wider range, right? Now let's see examples, right? She is reading a book, right? So is reading, is a helping here, and the main verb is reading. They have built a house, right? We have the have here as the helping or the auxiliary, and then we have the main verb here, built. Now we also have I can go now, right? The can is there, and then the go is there, right? So now let's move to the third one, which is the transitive, right? We have transitive verbs and then intransitive verbs, right? With the transitive verbs, what are they? These verbs transfer their action to an object. Now you will understand this or appreciate it better when we start talking about a sentence structure, where we have the subject, the object, or the predicate aspect of a sentence, right? But for the time being, when we say object, the object doesn't mean something that is not human, but actually it covers everything: human being, animals, and then objects, right? So we have the subject form and then object form, right? So when we say transitive, these verbs transfer their action to an object in the sentence, right? So we'll talk about that more, but for the time being, let's look at this example. She bought a car, right? What did the subject do? The subject bought, and that is the action, and this action was received by a car, right? Don't worry, we'll talk more about this. Now we move to the fourth one, which is intransitive verbs, just the opposite. So these verbs do not need an object, right? So they can actually be meaningful, complete without an object. So he sleeps peacefully. Now look at this critically. I can actually say he sleeps, and that is enough. That is complete. That is meaningful, right? So peacefully could come or not. And peacefully here is not an object, right? So that is it. You understand this better. Now let's move to the fifth one, which is what? Linking verbs, right? So these connect the subject to what? To more information. They don't show action, right? Common linking verbs is, are, was, were, become, seem, and I think we have feel also, right? So they are very simple, but you can see that some are subsets of the other, right? So example here is she is a doctor, right? So is here is the linking verb here, right? So the second one is it seems difficult, right? That is it. It's as simple as that. Now, that is not all about the types of the verbs. We actually have the modal verbs, which we just had a glimpse into that. And we have regular and irregular verbs. There are a number of them, right? So this is just an introduction or overview of the types of verbs that we have, right? So we'll talk more about this later, right? Some verbs can be both transitive and intransitive depending on how they are used. We sometimes call them as ditransitive, right? Some will need two objects in a sentence, and then some can play the role as in being transitive and intransitive. Don't worry, we'll talk more about these. Now, understanding the types of verbs makes your grammar more flexible and your communication more precise. Stick around. Tenses are up next. LEXI-AURA. Speak right.